Welcome to Lattes and Wisdom with myself, Mark Eatson, and Mr. Puya Kahali. Today we're going to talk about manifestation mishaps, things that we've done wrong while manifesting over the course of the years that we've been figuring things out, and also how to deal with people that think that manifestation is a load of nonsense. We're keeping it natty and pracky today. This is Lattes and Wisdom.
Bro, what are some of the manifestation mistakes you've done in the past, and what did you do to fix them, or what would you do to fix them if you haven't done so?
Define manifestation for me first, so I can make sure I'm answering it correctly.
What I mean by that is when you have a desire that you're trying to get done in the physical world. You want to do something. Let's say you want to bring out an album. You want to manifest that it gets a certain number of views or likes or being signed to a certain label. When you have a desire you're trying to manifest, bring into fruition, crystallize in the physical world, have you realized that certain things that you wanted to manifest were easier to manifest than others? And if so, like, what seems to be the deciding factor on how quickly you can materialize the things that you desire?
How little importance I place on the specificity of the outcome. So I can't be too gung-ho on hoping to get signed to one particular label. I can't be too particular about wanting to be with one particular agent, or I've just got to get on with doing what a DJ or a producer or an artist does. So in terms of manifestation mistakes, I'm still chasing my desires every day with this thing, with making music, with that being my thing, with expressing myself through the art that I create across all of these platforms and wherever else, however I do it, performing live as well as music that I'm putting out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still learning as I go. There's no feeling of getting to a point where I've got it figured out. So I'm still making mistakes daily.
Yeah, sure.
I'm still doing that now.
But you've also accomplished a bunch of things. Like, you have manifested some other things you've desired. You came from England to the US. I'm sure that was one of your desires. You figured out a way to live here, have a status, make money. So to a certain degree, a large amount of desires have already been manifested. Some of them haven't, and some of them you're still working on. And so you said one of the things that seems to be the case is when you place less importance on something, it plays itself out maybe more easily.
Yeah, like I obviously have the goal of signing music, for example,
Mm-hmm.
but I found that my best music tends to come from not having too many strict boundaries on how it's made, or making it for a particular label, or even in a particular genre. I've always kind of struggled with that. I think whenever you're making anything or creating anything, the less importance you place on exactly where it ends up, or who's going to be in it if you're casting, you're a director of something, or those kind of things. You've got to, with any creative endeavor, you have to be kind of flexible with your approach.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you actually make it more difficult to achieve the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And you also block yourself from seeing potential collaborative opportunities by seeing things too narrowly. If you approach things with more of an open-minded kind of stance, you also invite in opportunity, which I think is really helpful, especially in a creative endeavor. But in all endeavors.
That reminds me of dating game too. The more importance you place on a partner, the more you're going to chase, and that thing is going to be moving away from you. Yeah. It's like a dog. You chase the dog, it's running away. You run away from the dog, it's chasing you, that type of thing. It's like from a place of attraction, the more importance you place onto something, the more that thing seems to be detaching away from you. The less importance you place on things, that's my own experience, the more easily they come to you. I, for example, had a casting 2 weeks ago for a photo shoot at the Palms. And the casting was from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And I arrived like 2:40, like I was the last batch of models that came in. It was guys and girls. And when I arrived, it was already, every model had to put in their name. And I already saw the list. It was more than 20 people. And they casted 2 guys and 2 girls. And I was sitting there, and there was a bunch of people with me in the room. And I could just feel, like, there was a lot of nervousness. They really wanted the job. I saw some people, like, they were prepping a little bit. Some people were kind of presenting themselves a lot. And then the photographer and the director from the Palms would bring in model after model. And I, for this specific shoot, I didn't place any importance on it. I received a text message the day off from my agent that there's a casting. So I'm like, should I go? Should I not go? I'm like, yeah, man, of course you should go. Why wouldn't you go? It's right next door. Mm-hmm. So I went there, and I'm like, all right, whatever, you know. But I saw a lot of people were trying a lot. And I went in. The first thing the photographer said, this guy, his name is Jerry, 60-something years old. He looks at me, he shakes my hand, he says, you have good energy. And that's probably because I was very calm. I was like, hey, what's up, you know? And anyways, I ended up booking the thing. But I've had castings or shoots where I really wanted to get it. And the way I was presenting myself was also in a way that I wanted to be perceived then. I wanted to make sure I'm portraying a certain image because it was so important to me of how I'm perceived. And oftentimes those didn't work out. It's funny because the ones you're kind of like just neutral about it, your authentic self.
Yeah.
He read that too, right? When I came.
Well, yeah. And then so I would ask, like, what do you think was different that day? Can you pinpoint anything that made you more authentically, naturally calm and kind of nonchalant almost?
Yeah. I think all the things that you and I practice, I've become more rigorous with my meditations. That seriously helps, especially when you do kind of imaginations or like meditations where you put in imaginary scenarios where you actually feel a certain scenario to be real. That's Neville Goddard's technique, which is whatever you desire to have, put yourself in deep meditation and then evoke that situation and let yourself be congratulated by a person that you know and feel that as vividly as you can. And the reason is when you actually feel it that way, your subconscious mind registers that as a real experience. It can't distinguish between you congratulating me for something that's happening in our physical world versus me in that imaginary world if I can just feel myself as vividly as possible. So I've been doing that so much with, funny enough, with photo shoots, with, I don't know, being booked for a big campaign.
Do you capture the feeling of that then? You capture the feeling of you receiving the congratulations, we've decided to, and then you capture that, they picked me feeling. Mm-hmm. And you feel that in your meditation.
Correct. That's
as often and as...
Yeah, I repeat it on a loop until it feels burdensome to me. I just keep
going. And then
going.
On the day of the thing, do you do your meditation before?
No,
I get there, or do you just do as you're walking, you channel that feeling somehow?
I think when you just do those meditations regularly, essentially what happens is the importance you have for any desire is lowered. It's very interesting. Because think about it, anything...
Because you've given yourself the feeling before or something like that?
Think about the fact that you're in the U.S. now. You always wanted to come to the U.S. from England. From Swindon, you wanted to come to Vegas, be a DJ, right? Now you have that. So you can't be as excited about coming to the U.S. and becoming a DJ anymore because you've already experienced the feeling. You've experienced the admiration. You've experienced the congratulations. You've experienced the joy of playing music in front of people in this physical world. Now think about any desire that you haven't yet manifested in the physical world and play that out in imagination. Imagine how you would feel. The more you feel that, the more you've already given yourself that feeling, the less you're asking for that feeling in this world. So what happens is you don't necessarily have to play that scenario out anymore before you walk into that room with the casting agent, if you've already experienced that, you place less importance on it actually happening around you. And funny enough, that's exactly when it's happening around you then, because you're not coming from the place of like you really want it anymore. You're good with it or without it. Like you've experienced it. And then that gives you, I think, just a certain level of calmness. And that energy it's read by other people. And I think, the world then forms itself around you to give you that thing which you're good with or without. But the other way around, when you really want it, there's something that people can sense. It's like, oh, he really wants it. There's something that...
But there's still things that you really want.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you monitor yourself on those things?
I do the same thing. I try to imagine...
If you notice yourself really wanting something, you go,
yep.
No, neutralize it.
No, I don't neutralize it at all. I give it to myself in imagination. So if it's, I have a very specific number for this podcast, for example, in my head. So what I do is when I'm in meditation, I put myself in that scenario where I'm literally just opening up the video and I see the analytics. I see the video thumbnail and I see the number. And let's say I show it to you or I show it to a friend. And that person's like, dude, this is sick, next level, like high fives me. So I feel that high five. I feel me sitting in that room and that person looking at me and how they look at me and how they're happy for me. And I feel it. I play it as often as I need to and actually feel it. Mm-hmm. And when I feel it, I let it go. That's the Neville technique. That's the whole technique that a lot of these manifestation books teach you, is that feeling is the key, because it's not necessarily just the imagination. It's how much emotional conviction can you attach to the imagination that makes it feel real and therefore is registered by your subconscious mind. And the more you do it, the more you're good without it being visible in the physical world, because you've already experienced it. Mm-hmm. And then you have that kind of like that ease. So when you then meet people or you go for these castings or so, it just seems to me like you come from a more neutral state and then you magnetize that much more easily.
So that's a way that you've managed to control that manifestation mishap.
Yeah. Yep. I think one thing that I really struggled with was doing the meditations, imagine those scenarios, and then wait for it in real time. Why is it not happening yet? You're sending mixed signals.
It's a more active way for you, rather than just sitting with a meditation, to use the active imagination technique as well. And visualization feels like you're helping out a bit more. You're nudging the universe a little bit.
That's exactly right.
How about this?
Yes.
Here's something I enjoy.
That's exactly right. When they say give that to yourself first before the world gives it to you, like give yourself love first, give yourself wealth first, that's how you do it.
Yeah. Isn't it something like what you've got, the universe will give you more of, or something,
There's the
phrase like that.
Yeah, there's the Matthew principle from the Bible. It's to those who have, more will be given, and from those who have not, everything will be taken. So, and then you can ask yourself, on the physical plane, that means if you just ask people, the most common interpretation is, well, if you're rich, you're more likely to become richer. If you're poor, you're more likely to become poor. But on a metaphysical level, it simply means that if you're operating from a frequency, from a vibration, from a state of consciousness of having, then the physical world will not only give you that, but magnify and multiply it.
So look, when it comes to mistakes during manifestations, is there something that you've realized that you do that?
Oh, so many.
How have you fixed those things? Can you name what they are?
The one that I've seen happening the most to me, but also to people online and friends, is going into meditation, doing that work, slowing down your brainwaves, imagining the scenario. You get it in your imagination. You've felt a scenario that you desire in the physical world, and then you come out of it, and then you're just looking around for it all the time, and you ask yourself, when is it coming? When is it
so
coming? When is it coming?
The level of expecting something.
Yes. If you ask,
waiting for a moment.
correct. So think about it. You're not asking, when am I going to be a DJ? When am I going to move to the US? Because you're already there. So the difficulty is, once you open your eyes and you go back to the physical world, is to just treat it as if it was done, because it is done on a quantum physical realm. You've already chosen that state
I've
of
chosen
consciousness.
this timeline.
Correct.
Yeah.
So now, all you have to realize is that in the physical world, there's a time lapse. It can't happen instantly. Imagine everything that you would imagine would instantly crystallize. It would be chaos around you.
I would say that that's probably one of the other mistakes that I've made, is expecting things to happen faster than they can, or than I'm allowing them to. Because expecting things to be like, right, I've said it. Now, come on, then where is it?
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, it's like, and the moment you say, where is it?
You're then saying I haven't got it. Yeah, exactly.
So essentially, think of the meditation.
This is the skill, though. The skill is to actually do the visualization, or however, praying is another form of manifesting in a way, because you're saying it out or saying it in, and then letting it be.
Yeah.
And the only way it can then come to you is if you let it be. That's when you've got to be like, here it is, and also I let go. It comes to me.
Correct.
But that takes a lot of belief, a lot of faith.
For sure.
Which is the tough bit, which is the bit that you've got to practice with. Of going into regular meditation, visualizations, and sitting with it and being comfortable with it. And then having that belief when you open your eyes afterwards that it is done.
It is done. That's
and being like, hey, all good.
Yeah, bro, that's a difficult part, because then you will be presented with a bunch of evidence around you that you don't have.
100%. This is what
So then the question is, like, how steadfast can you be with the reality that you've chosen? Or are you going to revert back to your old state? Because think about it, if the universe registers that meditation and that imagination as real because you place emotional conviction on it, so think of it almost like a balanced checkbook. That's a plus. Then you come out of it and you've just, imagined that your account is full. And then you open the account and it shows 0. And you're like, shit. That moment when you say that, shit, like that negative emotional conviction, it's just another emotional conviction. But in this case, it's a negative. You're essentially undoing what you did in that meditation, because the universe is registering a plus. Oh, I have it. And then it's registering, I don't have it. So it's like back to where it was. So when that happens, what you need to do is you need to be aware that it is done. You need to be able to hold on to that reality with emotional balance. That's the trick, is the emotional balance.
Puya, there's going to be some people that are watching this that are going to say that that's BS, and that you can't just imagine yourself into another position. You can't imagine yourself into another career. You can't imagine yourself into another relationship. What do you have to say to those people? And you know what I mean by that. Like, I'm not being facetious with what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say that there will be people watching it that are like, manifestation is bollocks. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Are you just going to be like, well, you've not had enough faith. You can't. How do you talk to those people? How do you get them to try something which to them is alien?
No, I mean, if someone wanted to know, if someone just is trying to say it's BS, it's one thing. But if someone says, well, what do you mean? Like, that doesn't make sense. I'm talking about from a rational point of view, because you can explain it that way to someone who's watching, because there'll be two types of people. There'll be the spiritual types that can get it and that know because they've been doing it. And then there's people that are new to it who are maybe a little bit skeptical. And then there's the skeptics that are just like, that ain't going to work. Sure. Go, live with that.
But like, because you've experienced it, don't you want to be able to bestow to them somehow?
No, I don't want to do anything. But I don't want to do anything. But if
I want to know, but let me finish.
Sure.
You've come back from the hero's journey. What do you need to do? You need to share it with your community.
And I am. So this is the question is how much are you willing to receive that? I mean, for me, if someone would say that, if someone's genuinely interested, I would just say manifestation is just bringing into physical existence something that is invisible, something that is not yet perceived by the five senses. Bring that into existence to be perceived by your five senses. Then you can see it, smell it, touch it, all of that stuff. So that's manifestation. You're already doing that. So if you say manifestation is bollocks, you're denying your own existence because we are manifesting all the time. But how am I manifesting? I'm not manifesting. Yes, you are. Think about it. What do you believe to be true? What you believe to be true, you will see around you, right or no? If you believe if you believe all men are crap, all women are this, what are you going to see around you? You're going to see enough evidence to affirm that belief. So your reality is different to everyone else's reality. Why? Because you see reality based on a tinted lens. What's that tinted lens? That's the perception. What is the perception aligning with? Your belief system. So you are manifesting because whatever you see around you and the interpretation of what you see around you is dependent on your beliefs. So are your thoughts and your ideas. They all map together. And when you know that, it gives you at least the ability to manifest or see reality in a way that is aligned with who you want to be. And that requires then to change or challenge your narratives, your prompters, your beliefs. That'll be the first thing. The second thing, I would say, you can actually test and see if it works. And I can just speak from my own experience. So many things. Even before I was consciously manifesting, coming to the US, that was in my head for years. I didn't even know what manifestation was. But my belief was I have to be in the US. I really want to be there. My focus was on it. That's another thing. Your attention will go out to seek out enough evidence to affirm your belief system, right? That's the reticular activating system. So you're going to seek out the things from the physical world that affirm whatever you believe to be true. So you're manifesting whether you want it or not. And when someone says that's not true, it's like all you need to do is look at your life. Look at your relationships, look at your career, look at your health, look at your mental health. And then it pretty much always aligns with what they believe to be true about the world.
We've all manifested everything within our own individual personal realities. Is that right? Is that fair to say?
Yes. Yep. You definitely write your own story, bro. Not all of us start the same. That's definitely true as well. We all start from different points. But manifestation, and for me, is a very practical law that you can use no matter where you are in life to increase your probability to become that version that you want to be in terms of job, in terms of relationship, in terms of health. There's just certain laws you can use. And if you can embody a state of consciousness before the world proves it to be true, it gives you a higher likelihood to attract that reality in your life. And that's what I say, you can test that. Like if you actually test that, you will see for yourself whether it works or not.
How do you test it then? How would you
Well, I would say whatever it is that you desire, put yourself into a meditative state. Do that regularly, daily, 10 to 15 minutes. If you want to do it longer. Calm your mind. That's important. You have to calm your mind down first. Like, slow down those brain waves. Then when you're relaxed, bring up a scenario that presents to you that desired situation as fulfilled. So, for example, if you're like, Puy, I want to play at the Sphere in front of thousands of people. You go into meditation when you're ultra relaxed. You imagine yourself in Sphere, not looking at yourself on a screen like an actor. You need to be in the driver's seat. So you stand there, you're surrounded by that Sphere, and you see the crowd in front of you, and everyone is cheering, and you envision someone next to you that is genuinely happy for your success, congratulating you for it. And you do that as vividly and realistically as possible. And you can do that over and over and over again. When it feels burdensome, you let it go. It shouldn't feel like a burden. It needs to be playful. It's like you're enjoying it. It feels good. Mm-hmm. And the reason you do this is your subconscious mind is going to register this as an experience. And when it registers that as an experience, you are much more likely to operate from a state in your day-to-day subconsciously as if this reality was already fulfilled. So the way you speak to people, the way you look at the world, your emotional state, all of that is going to align with that reality. And when your heart and your mind is aligned, when your thoughts and your feelings are aligned, that's how you bring that reality into your life.
So you're doing specifically the feeling of congratulations?
I do that specific slide. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a reason behind that particular emotional feeling for you, or that's just that's a peak state of like
why
I've done hard work and someone's saying well done for it. So those two things together are the I don't know the dual feeling that you want to have.
Well, there's
congratulations for hard work. Does that make sense?
You can do it in any way that evokes a real emotion for you. You can do it. Imagine if you had that reality, how would the world around you look? Mm-hmm. And create a scenario that evokes that type of emotion for you. There's a verse in the Bible, I think it's Mark 11:24. When you pray, ask as if you have received, and you shall receive what you asked for. Something like that. But
yeah, there's something similar, I think, in Matthew about faith, which I think I've mentioned to you before. The degree of your faith will be to which you have it. Kind of
mm-hmm.
Same sort of concept.
Yep. But the trick is when you ask, know that you have received it.
Mm.
You have it already, and you should receive it. So when you have it already, it needs to be. You have to start from the end when you imagine. The scenario is fulfilled, or you're in that scenario where it's done. And for me, the easiest way to evoke an emotion is what would actually happen in real life. You would come and congratulate me, right?
Yeah.
If I booked a shoot,
yeah,
and I told you about that, you'd be like, "Bro, let's go."
Well, I think that this is actually what the best part of your description is, to visualize it in the environment that's very close to what you already have. Mm-hmm. So like one of your mates being next to you when you have the information.
Exactly.
So
and I do.
That's definitely because it's not, you're not asking someone to imagine some place that they've been to, some country or something that they can't imagine. Do you know what I mean? Like
it needs to be realistic.
It's not like imagine that you're outside of the Eiffel Tower. Well, I've not been there. I've ever seen it in pictures, so it's harder for me to be able to step into that scene. But it's not hard to step into a scene where you've walked into the room. I've said I've booked this gig, and then you've gone, ah!
Bam,
because I felt that clap before. Yeah, okay, I get it. That's helpful.
And the reason you asked why I use that technique. I use it because
you learned this from Neville.
I learned this from Neville. There's a book called Feeling is the Secret, and he speaks about specifically that scenario. And a bunch
this
of
is Neville Goddard, by the way, right?
Neville Goddard, yeah. Very, very great author to read if you're interested in
what
reality
is that?
creation.
The spiritual practice of that is New Thought, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. But a lot of people that are these manifestation gurus on YouTube and whatnot, they all give you that.
What's a manifestation guru, dude?
Like people that
come on, man. What is that?
People that guide you to create your reality. But that technique, a bunch of people use, and it is his. I'm sure that this technique has been used before Neville, but that was like 30s or 40s when he wrote that book. I'm not exactly sure, but somewhere around that time. And it's something that's worked for me. I've actually visualized.
That was after the Great Depression, then. So he would have been like around after the First World War, and then he would have been part of the movement of people thinking differently after that period, and saying, you know what, we can create a new world. And then they did, until the Second World War. Dude, tough though.
Yeah, but how do you do it?
Meditation's one way. I mean, honestly, just assuming that I'm already it has done me wonders through most of my life, which is kind of a bit of a sort of psycho way to live your life, honestly. Kind of blindly just being like, well, I'm going to figure it out, and then just going gung-ho ahead. But having that kind of not accepting, when we're talking about the illusion, the Maya, you have to be out of your mind to kind of break through the illusion of what is out there, and to say, you know what, I'm going to do something different. You got to be a little bit nuts. You got to be prepared to kind of not take no for an answer. Just keep figuring it out and knowing that eventually there will be ways to get there, but you've got to be very flexible and kind of open to maneuvering through things. I haven't really made the best progress in terms of, you know, a straight line from one place to the next. But I've known that I want to go this direction, and no matter what comes in my way, I'm going to climb over it or crawl underneath it. So anyone else that's trying to manifest something and hasn't managed to do it yet, I would say keep going. Mm-hmm. Don't give up. Sit with it almost a little bit more. Perhaps there is an element of wanting it too much, because I know that feeling has hindered me more than it has helped me.
Yep.
And yeah, you just have to be diligent. You also just have to know that one of the things that I've talked about with this podcast as well is us being undeniable. Like, you have to. This 10,000 hours thing. Yeah, it takes a lot. If you want to be really, really good at something, if you want to really like nail your craft, whatever that thing is for you, and be exceptional. Like, think about if you wanted to learn guitar, or if you wanted to learn any instrument, or if you wanted to learn how to be an expert coder, whatever your desire is, whatever your thing is that makes you tick, you have to live it. And that's committing to it. That's commitment. And I think I've lacked a little bit of commitment as well, but still, you know, when you double down on something and you back yourself, you make the moves, you make the leaps eventually, and sometimes they come irregularly, but they happen. So I would encourage people to realize that the times when they trip up is actually probably preceding the biggest explosions of growth.
What do you mean by trip up?
You know, when you hit failures, when you inevitably find something that stunts you, and then the tendency to have the little voice come in and go, see, you knew you weren't going to be able to do that. Da, 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 da. You should probably stop now, or that's enough now, or you're tired now, aren't you? Et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Don't listen to it.
Yeah. I would also say that if you keep asking yourself that question, you haven't really manifested it. If you still
asking yourself,
when is it coming, and why is it not coming, and where I can't see it. If you keep asking yourself that question, you are not in alignment with that state of consciousness just yet, because you don't ask yourself the question all the time, why am I not a DJ yet? Because you are.
True. Yeah, this is the same with Matthew McConaughey in Green Lights would say the same sort of thing about, and again, in another position of applying, essentially, going in and standing and reading lines. You can't want it too much. You've just got to go in, and you have to embody the character. So whatever the character is of the person, whoever's listening, whoever's watching this, whatever their character is, embody it. Talk like that person. Think like that person. Surround yourself with the people. Eat the food that person would eat. Like, all of those little tiny things. But you'll be living that avatar.
Making the distinction that some things are small or big or easier to obtain or harder to obtain, that's a limitation you're placing on your ability to manifest. Because in the realm of quantum, there is no such thing as big or small. It's all
don't
there.
Be afraid to not have any limits on what you're asking for.
Not any limits, and also don't feel like this is hard. Oh, this is going to take longer. Whether you're manifesting a bag of chips or the career you always wanted, in the realm of quantum, they're both the same. So if you can get in line with that idea that these sort of separations you're making, small and big, this is your ego speaking. This is your I side, not your God side, not who you actually are. The more you can actually realize that this is you making things slower and harder because you are viewing it as big. Every time you view something as big, you're placing too much importance on it. So if you can just treat it just like Vadim Zealand in Reality Transurfing, he says, you don't really think about it twice when you go out and pick up your mail, do you? Treat everything that you're trying to manifest with the same simplicity, because it actually is on a level of quantum. It's all atoms. It's all energy. So if you can just choose that reality, knowing that when you transcend yourself as an individual and your ego, obtaining that is no different than picking up your mail, you will reduce importance. And when you can reduce importance, you will operate from a state of not needing. When you don't need, you're registered as already having from the point of the universe. So then when you speak to people and you view the world around you and you think about things, they are in alignment with you already having. That's the key. You want to have your beliefs, your thoughts, your ideas, your perceptions, your emotions aligned with how they would be if that imagined reality was already present in the physical world. And the quicker and the more coherently those are aligned, the more quickly you will magnetize that reality. So another one would be, don't distinguish between what's difficult or easy, or what's big or what's small. Something that I did in the beginning is like, oh, this is so difficult to do. And then you realize that once you do it, the world will find its way to fall into place around you to bring that reality to you.
Yeah, I think as well what's
fairly
really
quickly too in a lot of instances.
Well, what I love about your technique of manifesting is that you're not manifesting a thing, you're manifesting a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not like imagining yourself in some house with, you know, a specific thing happening out there. It's all in the feeling state.
Well, I use the situation to evoke the feeling, but the feeling is the end goal. So whatever you need to do to evoke that feeling, you'll do. But if you want to manifest something specifically, you can absolutely play out exactly that scenario and feel it that way.
Okay. But
I've done that too. Yeah.
And then when the thing happened that you had manifested, was it the same as how you'd imagined it?
No, slightly different, but pretty similar.
But the feeling was the same.
The feeling was not even there anymore. When it
So you were blank when the thing happened because you'd already felt it in your manifestation?
Dude, believe it or not, it's almost like you'll become fairly neutral to most
Was that
things
interesting
around
to
you.
be able to observe it
Yeah.
in the kind of...
And it was empowering too.
What, because you felt like, I prophesied this?
No, it was empowering because I then understood that I am actually the one that triggers my emotions. It's not my environment anymore. And that also applies then to situations that otherwise would cause me to feel negatively, not just positively. It's the same thing. So
Have you noticed something happen since then where you've been able to kind of be able to watch your emotions rising?
Yeah, I think what it's done is, for example, if one of the manifestations became true, it was almost like, yes, there was definitely a feeling of joy, but it wasn't that, oh my goodness, I can't believe that. Because I've experienced that situation so much in my imagination, there was almost like a déjà vu happening in front of my eyes.
Yes, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what
So
you
that's
mean.
the crazy part, man. And then that also gives you a lot of control over emotions in general. When things go wrong, it just allows you to be like, I am actually the one that's evoking all of that.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happens, do you also have any kind of a feeling of, I should make the most of this? Because I've had manifestations come true. Things that I've felt or experienced in my imagination have eventually transpired in real life. And then I've been observing them myself in the moment. Sometimes I'm kind of just daydreaming, like looking around, being like, so it actually happened.
Yeah.
And other times I felt like I've had an impetus that I should make the most of the situation while I'm in it. Do you ever get that?
When you say make the most, what do you mean?
Like
Immerse yourself?
Yeah, like you you notice that you're watching or witnessing or observing the situation yourself in it, and then you suddenly feel like, oh, I should be more involved. Does this make sense?
Yes, I know what you're saying.
Imagine. So it seems almost stupid to say that. Have an imagination now of something that you wish to achieve. Then put yourself in the environment. I know from personal experience that I've been in those environments and then I haven't been, I don't know, immersing myself enough in them. Like it's almost like I got to the point where I was like, wow, this is it. And then instead of like diving in, I kind of just watched it play out. Shouldn't I have gone head first though? So I suppose it matters. Is that what you're like? No, I'm neutral. Mr. Neutral over there.
No, not even. It's like you can still enjoy it, but you're not idolizing the situation.
That's a good point. Yeah, I'm not. Okay,
you normalize it because again, you didn't need that scenario to be that person and feel that thing.
Well,
you're confident enough because you understand that you are able to feel those things about yourself and for yourself.
And to your point about the kind of not feeling anything when you finally get to it,
it's not feeling anything.
It's not feeling anything.
Yeah.
But what it is feeling is some kind of peace or like this kind of like calmness.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Still, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
but
it's like watching a sunset or something.
Yeah.
It's just that feeling of like, it's all good. Of course.
It's the of course. It's like
what is it? Of course, yeah.
It's of course, because if you are that person, how can you expect something else? If you are that person who actually experienced that and who actually lives from that state, why would you still be so surprised when it happens? If you're so surprised that it happened or that it happens, then you weren't that person to begin with.
I think that's maybe what it is then, is that the me daydreaming bit that I'm talking about is probably me looking around in awe, unable to kind of put together some words to match what I'm seeing, which is, to me, something that I'd imagined previously.
I think that is God's revelation.
So I'm like,
I think every time that happens,
it's crazy.
That every time that happens, that's God revealing Himself.
That's what
I believe
said
that.
to you about the pre-sent moment when I had that moment where I was sat in the cave and my goosebumps were going crazy and I was just staring out at this orange sunset. That was the pre-sent moment, the moment that was what it was before I had a thought about it. I was just watching it. So God sent this moment. Okay. So I could feel any way about it. Dude, what a beautiful feeling though. Okay, so that's the peak feeling I'm going to start thinking about in meditations.
Yeah.
Ultimate like peace and gratitude, really, I think is probably the best way to feel about it.
Yep.
Just proper chuffed and thankful. Yo, we're here. That kind of feeling.
For sure. Because
nuts.
Why you'll be thankful when you'll be thankful for having something, right? So when you're thankful, you're sending out that vibration, you're sending out that message of having. And when you send out that message of having, you already gave that sensation, that situation to yourself. And to those who have more will be given, which means that then the physical world will add on to the thing that you already have. So gratitude signals having.
I need to also do the same for the feeling of being in a relationship. Then I need to give myself that feeling too.
100%, man. 100%.
Need to catch up, bro. We got to impregnate our girls.
You go find a girl first, man.
I'm gonna go on Hinge.
Oh man. I think telling too many people about it. It's another one. I think you're better off.
Why do you think that is then?
I think it really depends. If you have someone who is very aligned with your life and you're working towards something together, it can actually be helpful to share that. Like
for an
if you and I,
accountability
for
type
example,
thing, somebody that's going to be, that will mention it, that will bring it up, that will help.
Or to reinforce it to each other. It's
Yeah.
like, our channel, our views, dude, it's like, I'm so happy that the things are working out for us and that we're getting the subscriptions and the views. That's something. But then a lot of times when you say it to to people, it can also create this type of pressure, performance pressure. When you have that performance pressure and it's not happening, and you're placing that expectation on it, the moment you're placing any expectation on it, when is it going to happen? Again, you're signaling that you're not having. So whatever, sometimes it can be easier when you just give it to yourself. Pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about you, man? Anything else?
The word manifesting has kind of been brought more into my vocabulary in more recent years. I would never have even used that word before, because it just has a connotation to it that with some people, if I was to say that, they would just instantly question it or think that I'm talking gobbledygook.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends are just very straight-laced like that. They're roofers or bricklayers or electricians or plumbers. Like, if I talk like, lads, I've been manifesting this weekend, you're going to get a beer thrown at you. But that's why I ask you to kind of give a definition to it that makes sense from their perspective, that they realize, oh yeah, I guess with that framework, I have been manifesting my life. I've manifested myself into the role of an electrician. I've
Correct.
chosen to be the electrician, and that's where my life is.
Correct. Yeah.
That makes total sense. Then they understand what the word manifest means.
Mm-hmm.
We're just using it in a different way.
Yeah.
We're not even using it in a different way. We're just...
There's a difference between proactive
We're defining it.
manifestation versus manifesting on autopilot,
Yeah.
which we all do. So the whole thing is, because we're manifesting all the time, you're creating your reality as you go based on how you believe the world to be. The idea is taking that off autopilot and then rewriting the program so it is aligned with the version of yourself that you want to be,
Mm-hmm.
and then plugging it back on autopilot. But until you can plug it back on autopilot, you have to work a lot, because you have to essentially remove old beliefs and replace them by new ones. And turns out that actually takes a long time, because the more fundamental a belief is, the less likely you are to willingly give that up.
Yeah, because it's deep rooted. You have to kind of go to the point.
So.
You have to go to the point of inception. You have to almost like trace back, when did I get this belief?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And a lot of those come from my parents, but then a lot of them, you may not even know why you follow a particular thing.
Yeah.
We need to make our own mind up. We're so easily led by news articles or things that we've seen or something that someone said to us, that we then completely change our path, rather than hearing something, going, oh, that's interesting, that's a data point, let me go and do some research and find out myself how I feel about that. We tend to kind of go with the flow, and that's not always the best thing to do, especially when you're around emotionally charged people. That's what happens a lot in families, isn't it? You get certain people within the family that are strong personalities, let's say, and then other people in the family kind of following along. And then they, 20 years later, you don't realize why you are a certain way. You've always said to me as well, we have to really learn the histories of our parents to kind of know where we've gotten a lot of our story from.
Yeah.
And that is facts. That's
absolutely facts. Yeah. A lot of that programming happens when you're so young, and you don't really realize why you start believing certain things,
Mm-hmm.
Because I have any belief that you have, it's simply an idea that you interpreted as hard truth. In fact, you masqueraded it as truth, but it's nothing but an initial interpretation that you have given the idea of truth. So, and a lot of times that happens as a kid, because you're trying to make sense of what's happening around you. Certain things happening with your parents, they treat you a certain way, they act around each other a certain way, and when that happens over and over, you feel emotionally dysregulated. So in order to regulate yourself emotionally, your rational mind is trying to make sense of that, so that you can get a hold on that reality and make sense of it, so that you're not so emotionally impacted by it. And then you're like, oh, they're acting like this. That must mean that I am this, or the world is this. And then your subconscious mind, because you're emotionally impacted by it, it's going to make sense of that as truth. It's going to save that as a fundamental truth impacting your operating system. When I say operating system, I'm talking about your day-to-day thoughts, ideas that pop up, the way you perceive reality. So and the nice thing is when you actually get to the root, like you say, you can unpack that and you can unprogram that. It requires a lot of repetition, because the same way you have saved that initial idea as truth because it was so emotionally loaded, you will have to now create a scenario with that counter emotion to replace that one, which brings us back to the meditation, which you're imagining something vividly so you feel that to be true. And that's how you get into the subconscious, because your subconscious is going to think that that's real now. That's how you program it, but you have to do it over and over and over.
That's the technique, the homework then.
Yeah.
Do some real active imagination, meditations, visualizations, sit and feel that emotion.
And be playful with it.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be fun.
And enjoy it, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine that situation with one of your best mates, or, with one of your girlfriends. Feel that camaraderie or that moment between each other when you're celebrating something, or when you're feeling happy, or when you're feeling accomplished, whatever the emotion is.
Yeah.
Feel that moment where you embrace each other and kind of
and in the beginning,
cement that feeling.
Yes, in the beginning it's difficult to imagine that because your 5 senses are shut off. If you think about when you actually being congratulated and someone is shaking your hand, you're feeling the handshake, you're seeing that person, you're hearing the word. So one thing that, again, actually this is one thing that comes to mind that helped me is when these things happen in real life, when you're around people, or certain situations happen where actually things are going well and a situation is there that allows you to sort of observe someone congratulating you or giving you a compliment, be as present as possible when this actually happens in front of you, because the more present you are when it actually happens in front of you, the more you can actually learn and observe how it feels to then use it in your imagination. Because then you have created an actual data point of how your hand felt when you said it, what your tone was when you spoke to me and you congratulated me, how your eyes were shining, And then you can use that when you evoke that a scenario in imagination, because you were present when it actually happened around you. That's another thing to make that meditation even more realistic and vivid.
Yeah, that's a really, really great point. It made me think of a situation recently as well. And also, I'd asked you a similar question about when somebody gives you a compliment and you find it difficult to take or to accept it in that moment, and you were like, yeah, I've started to sit within that feeling a bit more when people are saying something to me, and my instant reaction is to send it back. And I remember you'd said the similar kind of thing before, but what you've recently started doing is sitting with it, and really just being like, thank you. I know it almost seems facetious to be like that, but to really, really take it in, to soak in it, and to be like, somebody's giving me a compliment.
Yeah, I mean,
they're happy with the way that I've performed in something. I should really let that go inside of me instead of being like, no, it's nothing. The natural reaction is that.
Yeah.
But you've got to let it and feel good about yourself. Celebrate that small win.
Yeah, how odd when someone congratulates you that you're trying to reject it, right? We do, man. Like, it's so odd because we feel uncomfortable and we want to give it back. But that in itself, that reaction also is going to tell you how limiting your beliefs are and how big or small do you think of yourself. If you're uncomfortable receiving a compliment and you can't sit with it, you have to ask yourself why that is.
It's more because I feel like I should be humble. So it feels a little bit uncomfortable to gloat in it. I'm not trying to gloat, but when someone says something nice and you want to be like, wicked, thank you. But you can take that in a polite and a humble and a grounded, and you can take that in a good way.
Absolutely. And I have the same issue. I had the same issue more or less. It's better now. But I would want to give it back and get out of that feeling where I'm like, I'm now in the center of positive attention. I don't
Yeah,
want that.
yeah.
And for me, actually, I was asking myself why that is. Because that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to have. Because there's one thing being humble, and another thing genuinely sitting with a compliment and receiving it in an authentic manner, which also makes the complimenter feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're sitting there and you're acknowledging that someone gave you a truthful compliment, you will feel very valued. Because I'm like, sitting with what you said and thinking about it and letting it sit, you'd be like, oh, he didn't just brush it off and move on to the next thing, or give it back. For me, the problem was, I remembered when I was younger, my dad would praise me a lot in front of other people. And oftentimes, let's say in terms of education, maybe I was good in school. I would have better grades, and he would mention that. And I would want to make myself feel small because he would say it in front of a parent whose child I knew was not good in school. That made me feel uncomfortable. So that happened a lot when I was young. And I know that from there, it became uncomfortable for me to get compliments. I would do exactly what you were saying.
So you didn't like it because you felt like it made a comparison between you and your other friend?
Yeah, I almost felt like embarrassed in front of that other person, because now that person is going to feel small because my dad is praising me for having an A and that person has a C. For example, if he says, oh, Puya is so good in school, I'd always want to just bury my head in sand. But I realized that that's where it came from me. And when I realized that, it was like, that's not my problem, man. That was my dad saying that. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't be receiving compliments the other way around.
Yeah.
I can receive a compliment and be humble about it too, right? And I can give a compliment that is authentic to someone else. And if you think about it, if you view yourself as someone who is being congratulated, playing at the sphere in your meditation, your imagination, if you're not able to receive a compliment in real life, what makes you think that you can actually become that desired version of self where people are going to look up to you and going to congratulate you? It's misaligned, right? Mm-hmm. Those two need to be aligned in humility. So I think it's important for us to get comfortable receiving compliments and actually absorbing those. And then the other way around, giving authentic compliments too.
I think that actually could be one of the cheat codes as well, is to give them out more, and then you'll be more comfortable receiving them. So perhaps that's part of my homework as well, is to give out more compliments. I definitely feel like I do that as it is, but it can't hurt, can it, to give out some more?
Never, man.
I'm a handsome, good-looking brooder.
Likewise.
Cheers, bruv.
Buddha. Cheers.
Natty and Pracky.